Okay, let's jump right in. First up, Teresa Giudice and Luis Ruelas, they're reportedly facing a massive tax debt, like over $3 million.
Wow. $3,337,255.20 to be exact.
Whoa, okay, you got the specifics there. But that's a lot of money. And the reports say most of those Lakers are against Luis.
Right. Now, we know Lewis is an executive, in business development, co-founded a company in Florida, has other ventures going on. So it's possible those tax liens are tied to his business dealings.
Okay, that makes sense. And Teresa, well, she's got her podcast, Turning the Tables, plus RHONJ. When they film social media, that lipstick line, she's got her hustle going on.
She does.
But here's where things get tricky. There's this Beverly Hills attorney, Adam Michael Sachs, and he thinks Teresa's past legal troubles, that mortgage fraud conviction, could make this tax debt a bigger deal for her, like could put her back on the Fed's radar.
Yeah, that past conviction definitely adds another layer of complexity. Sachs basically said the IRS might look at her history and think, hold on, you've already done this fraud thing before.
Right, like they might be less likely to just see this as a simple mistake.
Exactly. He was saying that if someone's just kind of done with their taxes, they might get hit with penalties. But if they see signs of deliberate non-payment, especially with a history of fraud, that could be a whole different ballgame, potentially even criminal charges.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. And he mentioned something called forensic accounting, right?
Yeah, it's basically where federal agents, they dig deep into financial records like detectives. They're looking for any fishy stuff, weird cash transactions, bank transfers, anything that screams, hey, this wasn't just an accident.
So basically they're trying to see if someone's intentionally trying to hide something.
Exactly. And Sachs brought up another interesting point. A lot of reality TV folks, they work as independent contractors.
Right, right.
And that means taxes aren't automatically taken out of their paychecks. So if they're not careful, not putting money aside all year.
Boom, huge tax bill at the end of the year.
Yep. He actually said it's very common to spend all the money and not put anything aside. At the end of the year, you owe a lot of money, a third or more, and they don't have it.
Ugh. Yeah, that sounds stressful. And we know RHONJ isn't filming right now, not until 2026, so that regular income for Teresa is on hold for a while.
Yeah, that could definitely add to the financial strain, especially with this tax debt hanging over their heads.
Okay, let's switch gears to Erika Jayne. She's also got legal trouble brewing, facing a possible default judgment in a lawsuit from Marco, the design studio.
Right, and it's important to remember this is totally separate from that big $24 million lawsuit against her, Thomas Girardi's bankruptcy trustee, the whole fraud situation.
Yeah, so she's got multiple legal battles going on at the same time. And this Marco lawsuit, it's actually connected to another one filed by a guy named Christopher Sala in California.
Yeah, apparently there was this whole thing where Christopher accused Erika of extortion and career sabotage after he was accused of making unauthorized charges on an American Express card. Ronald Richards, he's been all over social media with updates on these cases.
Okay, so back to the Marco case. The reason she's facing this default judgment, it's kind of crazy.
It is. Apparently her lawyer, Jim Wilkes, she messed up, made a mistake filing some paperwork, and then missed a court date, a case management conference.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and because of that, the court threw out his motion, and now she could be hit with a default judgment. It seems like a pretty big oversight.
Definitely. And there's this speculation that Erika's other lawyer, Evan Borges, wasn't involved in this case, maybe to save money or because Wilkes is licensed in Florida.
It makes you wonder how much she's juggling right now with these different lawsuits and legal teams.
Right. And through all of this, she's still trying to distance herself from her estranged husband, Thomas Girardi. She even said on WWHL after show that he was found competent and guilty, called the whole thing a sad ending, like it was completely out of her hands. But, these legal issues, they're keeping her tied to everything that happened.
For sure.
And speaking of RHOBH, the season 14 reunion starts airing next Tuesday, so that could be interesting.
Definitely. It's always fascinating to see how these off-camera legal dramas play out on screen.
Totally. Okay, let's talk about Gia Giudice for a minute. She's put those law school plans on hold. Remember, she wanted to be an immigration lawyer, inspired by her dad, Joe Giudice, and his deportation after that whole financial fraud thing.
Oh, yeah, that seemed like a big driving force for her.
But it sounds like she's got other things going on now. She says she was studying criminal justice, getting more active on social media, and it started pulling her away from the law school track.
Right.
Even though she says she still loves the law, she felt like to really go for it, she'd have to quit social media, give up that income.
That's a tough choice for anyone, especially someone her age.
Totally. And she knows some fans might be disappointed, but she says it's not like she's closing the door on law school forever.
Yeah, she seems to be keeping her options open, which is smart.
Right now, she's focusing on the opportunity she's got outside of law school, capitalizing on where she is right now. And she was pretty adamant that she's not just being lazy about it. She actually studied for the LSAT, spent over $5,000 on tutors. Like, she was serious.
That's a lot of time and money invested. It sounds like she really gave it a shot.
And her tutor actually gave her some really good advice. He said, if you are not 100% invested in this and 100% in the game, you cannot become a lawyer because going to law school, studying for your LSATs is a full-time job.
That's so true. Law school is intense, and you have to be all in. It's not something you can do half-heartedly.
Yeah, and it sounds like trying to juggle all that studying with her growing social media presence, it was just too much.
It's understandable. Those are two demanding paths, both requiring a lot of time and energy.
She basically said it came down to, let's make some money and have a really good time, or spend 4 more years in school and be in debt.
I think a lot of people can relate to that dilemma.
Oh, for sure. And because people are always speculating, she also shut down those rumors about being engaged or pregnant. She says she has an amazing boyfriend. He might even pop up on her podcast sometime. Plus, living at home, she's not feeling any pressure to move out, loves being with her mom, though she did say she and her boyfriend look at houses and apartments all the time, so.
So you never know. Sounds like she's got a lot going on.
She does. Okay, let's go back to RHOBH for a sec. Jennifer Aydin, she's been shutting down rumors left and right. People were saying she loaned money to Teresa and Louis, because of that whole tax lien situation.
Yeah, and there were also those rumors that she and her husband, Bill, had filed for bankruptcy, that they were selling their mansion.
Right. But Jennifer went straight to the comments section on an Instagram post from Reality Blurb and just, put it all out there. She called the reports fake news, said if it was true, there would be paperwork to prove it.
Yeah, and she pointed out that everything else in their lives seems to be public record, so why wouldn't this be?
Right. Exactly. And then she just casually drops, and my house is not worth $3 million, lol. Please.
And she was super clear about not loaning Teresa and Louis any money. I also didn't lend Teresa and Louis any money that's also false.
So she's basically shutting down every rumor swirling around her?
Yeah, and get this, she hinted that her house is actually worth way more, closer to $10 million.
Oh, wow.
Right. A fan commented on the value, and she agreed.
Okay, well, and to be fair, a source told Reality Blurb that the loan and bankruptcy rumors were indeed false. Also said she's not getting divorced and hasn't been fired from RHOBH, so who knows what to believe anymore.
It's hard to say with all the back and forth.
It is. Just to be clear, though, those tax liens against Teresa and Luis, those are real. $303,889.20 against Teresa.
And a $2.5 million lien against Luis, possibly another one for $163,523, too. It's a lot to deal with.
Absolutely. And again, RHOBH is not filming right now, so.
Raises the stakes even higher.
For sure. Okay, let's take a break from the housewives for a bit and talk about Paige DeSorbo and Craig Conover. From Summer House. There's a sneak peek of an upcoming episode that shows some major tension between them before their split in late 2024.
Yeah, this was filmed last summer when Craig went to visit Paige in the Hamptons. Starts off kind of awkward with Craig making a joke about going to see their daughter, meaning Paige's cat, Daphne, and Paige being all business about getting ready for her podcast.
Right, and even in those first few minutes, you can feel that something's off. Then Paige says in a confessional that she feels icky and attacked by Craig.
She said, even though he's saying nice words, it makes her feel bad about herself. And then they show a flashback of Craig basically demanding that she prioritize him more. Yikes.
And they even bicker about stopping for food on the way home. A simple thing turns into an argument.
It's the little things, right?
Yeah.
And Paige talked about how she gets nervous about her Giggly Squad tour with Hannah Berner and how she can't even talk to Craig about her career.
Oh.
Yeah, she said he doesn't want to talk about her work unless it's somehow about him and their relationship.
That's rough.
It is. And then Jesse Solomon, their co-star, he's like, Craig's the kind of guy who will give you the hat right off his GVM head. And Paige is all sarcastic. That's why he's my #1 priority. And Jesse's like, are you guys fighting?
Oh, I saw that clip. It was so awkward.
Totally. And Paige says that whenever Craig tries to pick a fight, she just jokes about it. She even imitated him, in a mocking way, saying, is everything a joke to you, Paige?
And of course, Craig denied ever saying that.
Classic. But remember, Paige actually admitted on the Summer House after show that Craig would never be her #1 priority. She straight up said, Even if I marry you, my kids are going to come before you anyway, so you'll always be third.
Wow. I mean, good for her for being honest, but that's got to sting a little.
No kidding. And she also talked about how Craig made her feel bad for being direct, so she started keeping things to herself more to avoid conflict.
Ah, so they clearly had some communication issues.
Definitely. And, Summer House Season 9 is airing Wednesdays, so we'll see how all of this plays out.
Okay, shifting gears again to a more serious note. Karen Huger, things are not looking good for her. Reports are saying she's terrified of being in prison, drowning in legal bills, having panic attacks. She's really struggling after that DUI conviction.
Yeah, she was sentenced to 2 years with 1 year suspended for negligent driving, failure to control speed, and DUI. That was after that accident back in March. And reportedly, she's currently at Maryland's Montgomery County Correctional Facility.
Oh, wow. So she's actually serving time. And a source said she's absolutely terrified. The quote was, "Karen's terrified what will become of her. She's a celebrity, and quite rightly, she'll be singled out as a target by other inmates."
Yeah, that's a scary thought, especially for someone who's used to a certain lifestyle.
Right. And the report said she was expecting maybe a few months, not a whole year. There was even this comment about her being just a skinny, bony thing and how she's going to defend herself.
Oh, gosh, that's heartbreaking. And apparently, some of the other housewives, their reaction was basically, what did she expect? It was her 4th DUI.
Wow, that's harsh.
It is. There's reportedly hope for early release for good behavior, but the report said that's not really comforting her right now.
Understandably. And another source painted a really bleak picture, saying, 1 year seems like a lifetime to Karen. She's also drowning in legal bills. She's having total panic attacks, insomnia, and not eating. It's one big nightmare and going to be brutal after living a life of luxury.
Sounds like this whole ordeal is taking a huge toll on her, both mentally and physically.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because back in January, before the sentencing, Giselle and Robin talked about Karen's DUI on their podcast, Reasonably Shady.
Oh, yeah. What did they say?
Robin predicted 60 days in jail and a year of not driving or having to use a breathalyzer. And Giselle joked about community service like, let's clean the highway.
Well, 60 days turned into a year.
Yeah, and Robin was very serious about it being Karen's 4th DUI, saying, this can't happen again, it cannot, it can't.
It's definitely a serious situation with serious consequences.
Okay, let's get back to some RHOBH drama. Jennifer Tilly, she's been talking about Kyle Richards and Sutton Strack and that whole friendship dynamic. Seems like Jennifer thinks Kyle isn't being a very good friend to Sutton, calling her two-faced.
Ah, the never-ending saga of RHOBH friendships.
Right. Jennifer described 2 Kyles, one who's super helpful, and another who throws Sutton under the bus when it's convenient. She even said she told Sutton straight up, Kyle is not your friend.
Wow, that's direct.
It is. And Kyle, of course, she defended herself, said she felt unsupported by Sutton, especially when she was going through a tough time. She also criticized Garcelle for her blind loyalty to Sutton.
Blind loyalty, that's a loaded term.
It is. And Erika Jayne, she chimed into, saying she was tired of blind loyalty. Garcelle, though, she pointed out that everyone sees this pattern in Kyle's behavior except Sutton.
Interesting. So it's like everyone else can see it, but Sutton's maybe too close to the situation.
Maybe. But Sutton said she does see the pattern, even brought up examples like Kyle pulling her arm and saying no to her.
Oh, okay.
And when they asked her why she stays friends with Kyle, she said she sees a vulnerability in Kyle and insisted that she doesn't need anything from her.
That's interesting. So she's saying it's a genuine friendship, not based on any kind of neediness.
That's what she's saying, but Garcelle wasn't buying it. She said the need for her friendship is important to you, and even compared Kyle to Sutton's mom.
Oh, wow. That's a deep cut.
Right. And Sutton admitted that, yeah, people have warned her about Kyle's loyalty, but she likes Kyle, and they have private moments that nobody else sees. But Garcelle had the final word, and it was pretty intense. She said, yeah, but those private moments I feel like are manipulative for you. You can't really be a friend of mine if you hang out with people who despise me. You can't.
Oof, that's a mic drop moment right there. It sounds like some serious cracks are forming in those friendships.
Definitely. And speaking of cracks, let's talk about Dorit Kemsley. She was in the hot seat at the RHOBH reunion, even had the first chair, and addressed those reports about her home being in pre-foreclosure.
Right, and this was after she and PK announced their separation back in May of 2024, so everyone was curious about what was really going on.
Totally. And the preview for the reunion, it shows Andy Cohen asking Dorit about Sutton's comments on her finances, Sutton suggesting a forensic accountant and all that.
Ooh, that must have been tense.
It was. Dorit got really defensive, told Sutton she needed to actually care about someone, have compassion to be worried.
Ouch.
And then Sutton asked whose name was on the mortgage, and Dorit wouldn't answer, just went on about supporting women and stuff.
Classic Dorit.
Right. But then Andy, he just straight up asked her about those pre-foreclosure reports.
What did she say?
She denied it. No, there are reports that it was in pre-foreclosure. I had no idea about it. That's what she said.
Okay, so she's claiming ignorance.
Exactly. Then she went on to explain that PK told her about a rate change and that he was having trouble getting calls returned, so that's just the way he does business.
So she's basically shifting the blame to PK.
Sounds like it. She said he eventually resolved it, so.
But if things were that bad, how could she not know?
Right. It's a little hard to believe. And then she dropped a bombshell about her relationship with PK, said, as of a week ago, I've chosen not to have much of a relationship with him.
Whoa. So things have really changed.
Yeah. And apparently, he only sees the kids on Saturday nights if he's in town.
Wow.
Erika even asked her if she was scared, and Dorit said she wasn't scared, but she's hurt and sad, realizing that her future might not be what she thought it would be.
That's really tough. I can't imagine going through something like that so publicly.
Totally. And for anyone who wants to catch up on all the RHOBH drama, the show is available on Peacock. Okay, one last stop on our deep dive. Brittany Cartwright. She's been opening up about her falling out with Katie Maloney, and also she's thinking about getting a breast reduction.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. It's sad to see those two drifting apart. They were so close.
Right. Katie was even Brittany's matron of honor at her wedding. But Brittany said it was a total shock when Katie just stopped reaching out to her.
That's rough.
Yeah. Brittany talked about it on her podcast, When Reality Hits. She said she wants the best for Katie, still has so much love for her.
That's good to hear.
She said the last time they really spoke was after Brittany and Jack split, and that Katie did reach out then.
So at least there was some communication then.
Right. But then when Katie's dad passed away, Brittany tried to reach out, and again on Katie's birthday, but got nothing back.
Oh, wow. That's tough.
She said she understands Katie's busy, but still, it hurts. She said she has nothing but love for her and would hug her if they saw each other.
It sounds like she's really trying to take the high road.
Yeah, for sure. And then she talked about wanting to get her breasts redone again soon, but smaller this time. She had her first surgery like 10 years ago, but her size fluctuates with her weight, and they got a lot bigger after she had her son.
It's interesting how she's so open about all of this.
Right. And she was saying how she doesn't always love them, how it's hard to find clothes that fit right.
Yeah, I can see how that would be frustrating.
Totally. So she's definitely thinking about another surgery, going smaller, but wants to wait a couple more years just to be sure she doesn't want more kids.
That makes sense. It's a big decision.
It is. Wow, we covered a lot today. Legal trouble, money problems, relationship drama. The Real Housewives universe never disappoints, does it?
Never a dull moment. And it's interesting how these women, their lives are so intertwined. We see those financial challenges popping up again and again.
Totally. And those legal issues, those can be life-changing.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the drama, the friendships, the loyalty or lack thereof.
Yeah.
It's a constant roller coaster.
It is. And it makes you think, these women are living their lives in the spotlight and everything gets amplified. The good, the bad, the messy.
Right. Everything's out there for the world to see.
So that brings us to our final thought for everyone listening. How much do you think being on reality TV contributes to all of this? Like, does it make the financial problems worse, the legal battles more intense, the drama even more dramatic?
Right. Are we seeing the real them or a version of themselves created by the pressures of being on TV?
It's something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
See you next time.